everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 5 of season 2 of Windbreaker, and I'm very excited. I'm gonna be honest with you all. I had other things. I got really zealous and ahead of myself, as one does when watching Windbreaker, and so I recorded episode 4 a bit earlier than other shows I should have worked on, and now I've caught up with other shows that I had to work on. And so it's been a little bit since I watched episode 4, but episode 4 was so good. So good. Old Sakura being sick and learning from Kaji and seeing this generational mentorship. It was amazing. And then our bingo card, we've had several little slight bingos. Apparently, I was told that there are other ways of playing bingo that I didn't know about. We were playing bingo at a friend's house last weekend, and they did 4 corners, which we've gotten almost all the 4 corners. We have the other 4 corners. So I'm like, what are these street rules that I didn't know about with bingo? But we're still trying to get a bingo in an episode, and we're trying to get a blackout. So we still have things to play with that. But yeah, so we're on episode 5. I've got a couple comments from episode 2 and 3 that I want to talk with you all about before we get started. But Thea Victoria Martin for episode 2 says, Sakura initially seemed to me like the type of MC that's dense like a rock, but in reality, he's like a sponge who absorbs all the lessons that he learns. His contemplative face is just so cute. Agreed on that. Also, his words seem harsh, but the message he delivers is what the other people really need to hear. And I love how he's talking to Nagato. It's like he's talking to himself. Yes, our boy Sakura, he projects quite a bit, doesn't he? Alexander Q for episode 2 says, something I find interesting to see is how Furin was winning the brawl at the beginning of the fight, but then lost the upper hand. I think there's something to be said about Furin fighting barehanded with the strength of teamwork and the sense of a group, and then Keel fighting with weapons because they needed extra help since they fight like units alone. And then Furin regains the upper hand once the second years actually help stop the tide of Keel members and they have enough breathing room to fight together once again. I loved this logic about even though Bofurin was fighting with their bare hands, they were united as a front, and they it's that idea of physical contact, right? It's the idea of shaking hands, of that conversation that you have. You have a conversation with your fists. That's what Umamiya has been talking about. And so you get that with Bofurin's sense of unity versus Keel with their pipes and their boards and everything. They don't have that same sense of unity. So I thought that symbolism and visualization was perfect. Thank you, Alexander Q. That was great. And then Black Widow Queen for episode 3 says, you're not wrong about feeling like a sports anime. In a recent interview, the author of the manga, Ni Satoru, stated that they're drawing Windbreaker as, quote, an extension of a club manga, rather than a manga explicitly in the delinquent Yankee genre, which is what the anime fandom at large, at least in the West, get wrong. They expect it to be another run-of-the-mill battle shonen when the author is in fact writing it as more of a coming-of-age story. You know, that makes sense because at Bofurin there's not clubs like a tennis club or a chess club, so saving the town club is what we have instead. So, but yeah, this thing reads like a sports anime, and I love sports anime, so that's probably why. But yeah, so these comments were amazing. Thank you all so much. This is a drop in the bucket. Y'all leave every week some amazing comments on Windbreaker, and even if I don't feature them here in the intro, I read them as long as there's not spoilers and the moderators don't flag them. I read them. I love them. They're so good. So please feel free to leave your comments. And the worst that can happen is that the mods don't let me read it. It's not a big deal. You don't make me mad by that happening. I just have to keep myself safe. Y'all know that. But yeah, so at this point, I did pull up the episode and saw, as I was switching over from the English dub to the Japanese subs, that it immediately started with the OP, which I cannot watch yet, sadly enough. But I can watch the ED now, which is exciting. But I did go ahead and skip to the 1 minute and 28 second mark. So we're going to be starting at 1 minute and 28 seconds in as the OP ends. But it's starting with the OP! So you know that's a good sign. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching with me. I'm so excited. Let's try to get a bingo today as we watch episode 5, technically episode 18 altogether, of Windbreaker season 2. And whoop, we're going to start that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Okay, so we're not using Whiteboard Kun today. Instead, I'm gonna write down new character names because we had 3 of them, and we're gonna do bingo, and we're gonna go through the screenshots because, this was such a good episode. What I like about this series is the fact that we are not condensing episodes and cutting off things that happen just so it can fit into this one 23-minute spot. Instead, if there are things to wrap up, we'll do that in the next episode. And that's kind of exactly what this episode does. We had this remaining things we need to get with Sakura out of the way. The first part of this episode felt like its own chapter, felt like its own aftermath chapter with Sakura. And then we get into Tsubaki, which I'm so glad we're at Tsubaki-chan. If from the ED, I feel like we're going to be focusing on Tsubaki for maybe a good part. We're almost to the halfway point of the season. And this series likes to expand upon its characters, expand upon their dilemmas. So if we get Tsubaki for 4 or 5 more episodes, I'm living. I am here if Tsubaki is going to be a major part of season 2 because of all of the 4 kings, no shade to Hiragi. Love Hiragi. We got some Hiragi last season. No shade to Gas Mask Man. No shade to other person with the glasses. But Tsubaki was the one of the 4 kings aside from Hiragi that I wanted to get to the most. So the fact that we're getting to them now, I'm like, yes, please, thank you. We're going to talk about them. But first, before we do that, we need to dive into these screenshots, and we're just going to go through the bingo as we go. We'll talk about it here a little bit when we start here in 3, 2, 1. I guess we might as well go through the bingo card and see what we get this episode. So this is episode 5. Sakura blushing? Oh, hell yes, we did. Suo's elegant fight moves? No, but I'm watching you, Suo. I'm watching you. Don't think I'm not. Did Narai freak out? I don't think they did. I don't think Narai freaked out this episode. Narai was kind of down in the dumps a little bit. We're going to talk about it, but I don't think they freaked out. There was a handshake or a hug. I'm going to count Tsubaki tackling Sakura as a hug. Kotoa served food. That was for sure. A non-ED garden shot. We did get that. Sugi's garden where he's growing hemp. So, and then new character backstory. We did not get a new character backstory in this episode. We did get some, we'll talk about Sakura in a minute. Abs on display. Aside from the ED, did we have abs on display? We might have to come back to that one. An antagonist shipped with Sakura. We haven't had that at all this season so far. Crazy. A brawl taking place. No, I don't think there was a brawl taking place this episode. Torn clothing? No Sakura flying kick. No Kaji this episode, which Kaji's been in all 4 episodes of this season so far, so I think it's okay if they took a break. And then Umemiya jumps at Kotoa. No, Hiragi stopped that from happening. That's for sure. Character dirt face. Do we count Sakura? No, I think we'll do that without it here. Wind chime symbolism. Yes, for the first time, we have wind chime symbolism. Yay! That's exciting. It took us 5 episodes. Hiragi taking some medicine. No. Sakura giving a piggyback ride. No. Bofurin has not aided the townsfolk. We did get a Sugi grumpy face. We'll take that. Sakura backstory moment. Yes! Hey! I mean, we can count this. Do we count this as a bingo? This whole 4 corners thing? We've gotten a square here, a square here, and a square here. Oh, we don't have a square there yet. Okay, so we don't have all 4 corners, but we do have something there. New gang appearing, not yet. Bloody Knuckles, no. And Sakura was praised. I'm going to count Anzai's little speech as a praise. So no new bingos this episode, although we did get a few new squares in here. So we are getting closer to a blackout. We right now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 squares left. We're almost halfway through the season. I'm not thinking about that. Don't want to think about that. But we've got 6 squares that have not been filled in yet. I have hope. But no bingo. No bingo. What the fudge? All right. Although we did get a new line altogether that was by episode 5. We do get a new line of them all filled in. So that's good. Now we just have the 2 in the middle. So, but yeah, good bingo card. So I'm going to keep my little handy dandy sheet of character names. I haven't looked at this much, honestly, because I've kind of gotten everybody's name down at this point, but we are going to keep it there. so that I can write down Tsubaki and her and her two, the Kaoru twins from Ouran High School Host Club, the battle shonen equivalent of them. Ha! We're going to talk about that. So yeah. Okay, let's dive into this. I am used to very morbid shows because when I first saw this, I forgot it was a tightrope. And I was questioning whether it was like a rope that would be used for something other than walking on. I'm glad I was wrong. So I do like the idea of the tightrope metaphor with Sakura. I love the animation. I love the chalk drawing line work that they give it. But this idea of walking a tightrope is something that I personally had no idea about, but I've had experience, especially it's funny, the timing. Like the last week has really opened my eyes to a lot of things in my personal life, not my personal life, but in my professional life. They're like, this was the only way I could prove I was myself. There are no safeties. If I fall, I die. Which explains why Sakura has been so on edge for most of the show, because he's so used to the idea that he has to constantly walk this fine line and this tightrope in order to survive. And otherwise, he very much could fall to his death. And that's been kind of ingrained in him from who knows how long. He's like, no matter what, I can't fall off because no one would ever save me. So I want to talk about that. He's like, I got used to how tense my muscles always were and how my breaths were shallow from the difficulty of breathing. And he's like, it's not easy for people to live their lives. That's what I'd always been told. So when things got hard, I thought that was how life was supposed to be. I have a student that I know that this last week I was talking to him, and it broke my heart because they came to confide in some personal stuff going on in their life that's just really bad. And I did what I could in the moment, you know, what you can do in the moment for that person. But just hearing them talk about stories and things like that, that person was very much like Sakura, where they have grown up in a chaotic environment where it is not healthy. It's chaotic, it's toxic, and they are constantly having to fend for themselves and fight to not fall because it would be so easy and then you wouldn't be able to have a support net to help you get back up. And so watching this first part here, I was reminded of that student, because for that student, that's normal. And for me, and for any of us that, you know, didn't grow up in an environment like that, when someone tells you, like, when someone says something that's very disturbing, but they say it like it's nothing, they just say it like it's the most everyday thing, you're like, but that's not normal. And they're like, well, sure it is. That's what I'm used to. And that's exactly how Sakura is. All the stuff that Bofurin and the others, even though they're a ragtag group of delinquents who have been, you know, misplaced and misguided, and they've kind of all gathered in this one place, even for them, some of the stuff that Sakura is kind of like nonchalant about, they're like, why are you being, that's not normal. Suo is the only one that really, I think, gets where Sakura is coming from, aside from Kotoa and Umemiya. Kotoa, I think, does as well, but they're like over here. Of the class 1, I think Suo is the only one that gets it, because I think Suo is from a similar environment. I think Suo is more like Sakura than he lets on, and he's from a similar environment, but unlike Sakura, who projects everything and projects his emotions, Suo don't project nothing. Suo is keeping everything close to the vest, and he is projecting nothing, and we'll talk about that in the restaurant. But I feel like Suo is the one that gets where Sakura is coming from. But for Sakura, he's so used to the norm, and the norm should not be anyone's norm. That is not healthy. It shouldn't be what anyone aspires to. But for Sakura, that's all he knows. And so the Bofurin wind chime being like this, you know, saving grace, where he's like, this path isn't the only thing. And that's what I had to tell that student the other day. I'm like, this norm that you have in your life is not an end-all be-all. It's not your definitive normal. It's not going to be with you your whole life. You can get out of that. You can get away from that. It's not easy. And right now there's a struggle about financial things and money and stuff like that. But I mean, it's something that can happen. It's just a matter of when and the circumstances. And for Sakura, his win is now. He's found a place with Bofurin where he can grow. Because that's the thing. If you are constantly in an environment where you are being stagnated by anxiety and by abuse and by toxicity and things like that, you will not grow because you have no opportunity to, because you're just barely hanging on. It's only until you find that ground and foundation where you can feel stable, where you can start to actually grow. And the metaphor that Sakura uses here, it's so good. It's so good. I was waiting all episode for a Suge innuendo. I was waiting all episode for an innuendo with Sugi, and I didn't get it. So that's what I get. That's what I get for having my mind in the gutter. Although the Sawa's 100 whey protein is... I want to talk about Suge and his bath routine here in a little bit, because Kiryu was just disgusted by that. But yeah, everybody's all happy to see Sakura. And Sakura comes in and, you know... everybody's like, oh, are you all feeling better? And he does the whole spiel where he's like, look, I'm so used to not realizing that there's this net here. And I like that he thinks of Umamiya, and him crossing into the classroom is him jumping off of the net, is jumping off the tightrope. Him accepting his classmates' like friendship and their camaraderie. And again, the episode is called A Place Where I Belong. He's like, them accepting him into Bofurin is like him being able to jump off the tightrope. And he's blind. He doesn't know what's going to be beneath him. He doesn't know if he's like falling to his death. He doesn't know if he's going into oblivion. He doesn't know if he's going to get in trouble or what's going to happen. It's a leap of faith, but he's doing that to go into Bofurin, and then realizes that they all care about him. And it leads to like the best thing for him. I love the transition where he's just an outline. Again, he's not filled in. He's not complete. He never will be complete until he jumps off the tightrope, and then he lands in Bofurin, and that allows him to finally let the color and everything be in. He's like, it was normal for me to do everything on my own, but I couldn't. And all the things that pissed me off, I took it out on you guys. And it takes a lot of character for someone to admit not only that they're wrong, but to admit they're lame, to admit they do bad things, to say that they're sorry. That takes a lot. That is not something that some people find easy. A lot of people are very incapable of doing it. And he's like, I know I'm causing everyone trouble, but I'm leaping off. And then him saying, I'm sorry, like, Sakura had some of the most heartbreaking little faces in this episode. I felt so much for him. I was like, Sakura, my dude. And then him saying he was sorry like that, and everybody's just like, okay. And you know, it's kind of tense because they're like, well, what do we do? Like we've already talked to Sakura about this. Like, what more can we say? And then Sugi's just like, get out of the way. I love that he's like about to cry. And I like this graffiti that's next to him. The graffiti that's next to him of just like this waterfall. It feels like Sakura like just dumping all of this emotion and letting it go. And he's like, I just need to get this out of my system. And then what ends up happening? Sugi immediately like just knocks him through. I want to go back to that. And then boop. Sugi's like, I'm coming into the room. I love how Sugi makes such a big deal about coming into the room, and he's like, get out of my way. And then he immediately goes over and like sleeps on the desk. Sugi is officially, I've told people in the comments, Sugi is my favorite character to look for in the background because he's always doing something fun. He's always doing something either fun or hilarious, or he's just fun to look for in this series. He's like, it's your fault for standing there. Yeah, I love that Sakura's just like, what are you talking about? So good. But yeah, everybody just, I love that they all kind of dogpile on him, and they're like, why are you talking nonsense? They're like, you know, don't, and Alex, they're like, you offend us because you don't trust us. Like, you should trust us. We're your friends. Don't take this up all on yourself. I thought Anzai was going to give him a hug, because Anzai's giving everybody a hug when he has a heart-to-heart with him. You confessed all these, this face! Oh, Sakura, my dude. When Anzai's just like, what of it? His little eyes. I love it. I love him. And then come back to Sugi. And so his hair is so on point. I love his hair in this episode. It's just beautifully cascading over the desk. Oh my God. Sugi's been up all night watering Umamiya's plants. And now all he wants to do is come to class and, you know, take a nap. And he's like, get real. People aren't like that at this school. And that space. That's the thing. Like it's so important that people have, we're going to talk about this with Tsubaki, but it's so important that people have safe spaces where they can feel where they need that foundation. We were talking with students that I have, and they were talking, I'm from the US, they were talking about how in America, there's, especially in rural areas, especially in poor rural areas, which is where I'm from, my area is very rural, very poor. There's not a lot of, we talked about third spaces. And third spaces are like, you have home, you have school, and then you have where you go when you're not at home or school. Because for some people, you can't stay at school all day. The school closes down eventually. You got to go somewhere else. And for some people, home is not safe. For some people, home is a toxic or volatile environment that is not fitting for them to be in. So it's like, where's that third space that they go to? If the school is closed, home is not an option, middle finger, where do they go to? And in a lot of rural places, it's really problematic that we don't have third spaces anymore. Like, I feel like the pandemic and COVID shut a lot of those places down and they just weren't able to financially recover. And then we've had so much economic stress in the country that I live in that it's hard for places to open back up because people don't have money. So you can't go to the third spaces. And we could have free spaces, but then that means our government needs to fund them, which is a whole other topic that I don't want to get into during Windbreaker, but it's very problematic. And so Bofurin is kind of like combining 2 and 3. It's combining the school and the third space into one. But it's hard because Sakura's not used to having that. But it makes such a big difference. You need a safe space where you're accepted for who you are and where you can like feel like you can just breathe. And that means so much to Sakura. And Anzai's like, look, you're amazing for doing what you did for your friends, so quit doubting yourself. Anzai's like, I'm gonna have to yell at you so that you get it. He's like, we really like that about you. We like that you're gung-ho. Like, we would let you know if we didn't like it. And Sakura is not used to that kind of mentality, right? I love that when he lands, you can see the tightrope. You can see the shadow of it before him below him. There's like the tightrope there, and then you can see the shadow of the tightrope on the grass. And everything is like grayscale. And then you find him, and he's like actually like filled in. And then as he sees everyone else and starts to chase after, okay, there's our handshake. There we go. I like to imagine that it was Suo that reached for him. It was definitely Suo that reached for him. You can't see Sugi, but he's way back in the corner behind Suge in that shot. But yeah, so it could have been Anzai, but I like to think it was Suo that reached for him. And then the moment he starts running after them, and he says his body feels light and he can breathe easily. I didn't know there was a place like this. I like it here and I want to stay. Of course. Like, why do you think all these other guys are here? Because they like Bofurin too. And I like that Suo says this. He's like, Sakura-kun, it's not a bad thing to cause trouble or be troubled. Like, everybody stirs up a little trouble every now and then, and lots of people have troubles as well. So he's like, it's not a bad thing that happens to you. It's okay. You've been all alone, so it might not happen overnight. I feel like Suo is projecting all over the place. I feel like Suo has been in the exact same boat that Sakura is in. I love his earrings now. Now I'm going to think his earrings are just wind chimes this whole time because they look like them. But I feel like Suo has been in the exact same boat Sakura is in. So when he says, it's not going to happen overnight. Yeah, no, it's not. And so Suo would know. He's like, it's just going to come gradually. I love that. Oh. And he's like, take your time and get used to it. Yeah, it's, you can't just rush things. So, Sakura had the most tender and sweet faces throughout this episode that I'm going to be taking so many screenshots. Meanwhile, it cuts back over to Sugi, and Sugi's... In my heart of hearts, I know that Sugi was listening. But Sugi is a tsundere to like the 12th degree. He's like black belt tsundere. He's so tsundere, he foregone the like annoyed, aggressive part and just went straight to apathetic. Like he just soared past all the other character traits and went straight to sloth. Like, but I love watching Sugi. So he was listening. He knows, but he just doesn't care. Unless your name starts with a U and ends in a Mia, it's not going to be much for him. So they all want to go out and eat, which I do feel bad for Kotoa. She's like, I just bought eggs. These eggs are expensive. You're eating me out of house and home, kids. And I love that the conversation is, do we go get meat or do we go get cakes? Cakes or meat? You know what? In the grand scheme of things, you know what? Cakes or meat is the debate. Do you love cake or do you love meat? These are questions. I'm like, are we determining who's on what side? Who's on what side? He's like, you guys just want an excuse to eat. Yeah, he's like, let's go for barbecue. No, we don't have money like that. We're going to get skewers. He's like, manja, cake. And then I like that Anzai is like, Sakura, you decide, it doesn't matter. But they're like yelling in his ear. He's like, please stop. I love it. He's like, why do I have to decide things? I thought Kaji said you all did that. And they're like, what do you want to eat? And he's like, I want some omelet rice. In his most meek voice possible. And look how he's like, well, what if we got some rice instead? Shut up. Shut up. You're adorable. You're precious. So cute. Like, who's going to say no to this little cat that's like, well, I actually would like some rice, some omelet rice, please. Like, come on. And then they're like, oh, cool, neat. They're like, that sounds good. We can do that. We're going to go to Pothos. Can we all fit? I like this one guy is like, can we all fit? And they're like, not a problem. Now, Narai, Suo asks, what's up? He's like, what's up with you today? Usually you butt in with something to say. And he's like, I'm kind of spaced out today, but I'm glad he's feeling better. Yeah, Suo is observant. He doesn't think we, the audience, are observant or that any of his classmates are observant, but Suo is observant. He's observant on Sakura. He's observant on Narai. And he's like, I'm watching you. Suo's like, I got two ships going on at the same time, and I'm straddling both of them. They kind of abandoned what happened to Narai after this, so I don't know if we're going to find out later what's going on with Narai, but something's up. I feel like Narai might have a little bit of guilt from what happened back with Keel as well that is unresolved, because remember, we had the aftermath, and then Suge just had Narai on his back, get your mind out of the gutters, and it just went from there. But after that, we didn't really explore what Narai's thoughts were because Sakura was sick and all the other stuff was going on. So maybe we'll get some like follow-up aftermath stuff with Narai. Possibly. Maybe. I like Katoa's like, this is a cafe, not a restaurant. She's like, ugh. I think she agrees to it though, because Sakura's like, I'll come by another time and return the pot. Like he's being legit nice and proper. And she's like, what's wrong with you? Are you still sick? And he's like, no. Yeah. I love that he like starts to get mad and then this other kid's like, let's keep going. Yeah. Sakura's trying to change. She's trying to do something. I'm kind of all for it. I love it. So yeah, and I'm like, come on, you're the main character. And she's like, main character? I like that she's slowly getting in on everything else that's going on. But damn, that whole basket of eggs that she's used, she's going through onions left and right. So they're like, let's all confess what's going on. Now, I want to point out what's happening at these tables. Suo has no food. And look, maybe he's fasting. Maybe he does a day fast. Maybe he does. But I think it is weird, and I have been noticing it since day one, and I love that the show is very consistent in the details. The details are important in Windbreaker, but every time we have gone to the restaurant, no matter what restaurant we're at, so it's not an allergy issue, it was when we were at the Protein Power place, or whatever it was called, the wrestling place, it was when we were at a different restaurant, every place we've gone to, Suo only gets like a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. He does not get food. And as someone who has been through an eating imbalance before, that is noticeable because it's little things like that. People don't pick up on it, but you're doing that intentionally, right? You're doing that intentionally. So, and it's not a money factor either because it's all on the house. Katoa's like, fine, I just got these eggs, but I'll make you all these omelets. She wouldn't have said that if they were paying for it. She's like, well, you're paying for the omelet rice, so the eggs that I bought are being used and the price is making up for it. But she's making it all for free. So it's not a money issue because they were getting free food. It's not that Suo's broke, but he's deliberately not eating. And I don't like it. I want to give him a sandwich or a piece of cake or something. So they start talking about all the lame parts that have to do with them. Takanashi says he's like scared of bugs. And then Suge is scared of ghosts, possibly goats, but ghosts. The thing is, when he said that, like, he's like, I can't close my eyes when I wash my hair. I'm like, you have all these headbands. why don't you put a headband around your thing so your eyes don't like shut? Because I love when he said that. Kiryu's face, Kiryu's brows being like, don't your eyes hurt? What are you doing? I love that Kiryu instantly judges him. He's like, what are you doing? Also, his hair without the headband looks crazy. He's like, well, they're hurt, but it's better than closing my eyes. I love that he's just like, no matter how much I train, I can't defeat ghosts because I can't touch them. That's such like a musclehead's logic. I swear. Also, all I can think about when I think of Suge is like, because I played Pokemon growing up ever since I was like 8 years old. So all I can think of is like a fighting gym. He's like, in the one, is it Saffron City? It's the one in blue and red, which is probably a game older than most of you. Hopefully not, but probably. But there's like a gym where you can get either Hitmonchan or Hitmonlee. He looks like the main guy that's the gym leader for that. And also I like the idea of like Kiryu's like a psychic Pokemon leader and he's fighting type. Love that. Which fighting type do nothing against ghosts. So there's that little connection there. But yeah, he's like, everyone's the same. And Suo's like, everybody's got insecurities and issues like that. He's like, everyone has a weakness or a pathetic side. Now, Suo gets called out on this because Suo's like, now Sakura, everyone has a weakness or something that, is pathetic or lame about them. It's nothing to feel embarrassed about. I kept thinking somebody was going to burst in the door right as he was talking because they cut to this side frame and you see the door right there, which we end up seeing Umamiya and Hiragi through and Tsubaki. So I guess that's where it gets made up at. But yeah. Also, there's this guy here in the corner that is like, I keep confusing him for Sugi. He has the long hair as well. It's not quite as long as Sugi, but he has it pulled back. Everyone is like that. So then Kiryu says, Kiryu is a nosy Nancy. Kiryu's like, what's your weakness? That's the thing. Suo will talk all day long on somebody else, but Suo never wants to talk about themselves. Suo does not want to mention themselves at all. They don't want to talk about anything to do with themselves. And if you notice, he's like, oh, I think I'm afraid of manju pastries. I think he's just talking about what rumors has been spread. And you're like, oh, so there's a Rakugo skit. Okay. Manju pastries. What is a Rakugo manju pastries? Somebody else has looked this up. Okay. What is the I'm scared of dessert? Oh, manju kawaii, aka I'm scared of dessert. The daily NHK drama has a cute story today. We heard the name manju kawaii, fear of manju. Oh, okay. Interesting. It starts with 5 friends talking about what they like. Okay. Oh, so this is like a joke. Okay. Interesting. It says, it starts out with 5 friends talking about what they like. One says sake, and then the ringleader says, well, what don't you like? And one admits being scared of snakes, one hates slugs. The quiet one in the corner looks nervous and admits he's terrified of manju. The others look surprised. Manju, you mean the soft white cakes with the red bean paste fillings? They are so good. The quiet one shudders and turns away. I know it's foolish, but they terrify me. Oh, please, let's not talk about them. The other 4 get together later and decide to tease the quiet one, so they buy a bunch of manju, find him in a room, and throw the manju at him. Then they peek around the corner and are surprised to find him with all of them piled in front of them, and he proceeds to eat one with a smile. The leader said, oh, you misled us. All right, tell us, what are you really scared of? And the quiet one licks his lips and says, right now, I think I'm really scared of some tart tea. So that's the skit. Okay, and Kiryu's like, you're fooling no one. You're just citing this old-fashioned joke. And then Sakura, who has probably not watched TV or watched the skit, is like, manju, the pastries that you eat? And Nirai's like about to like look it up and get in there. He's like, don't you get food poisoning? And he's like, oh, see, Sakura believed you. He's like, you lied. And he's like, I couldn't think of anything. Bullshit. Calling bullshit right now. Couldn't think of a weakness. Couldn't think of something lame. I mean, Suo's all about appearances. He always looks elegant. The only time he's ever not been elegant is when whatever that Keel guy said to him really made him mad. So whatever that was, which may be the Keel guy, because Suo says he hates rumors that are unfounded. So maybe the Keel guy said a rumor that he heard about Suo, and Suo was like, we're not having that. So interesting. Because then here, we hear Narai say, but Suo, don't you hate Nato? And that got his attention. His eye, like, perked up. But he claims that he doesn't. He's like, well, Niraiku, who fed you that rumor? And he's like, well, I was asking around about you and I found that. But I don't remember who said it, though. Now, all of the first year boys kind of like slyly look at one another. I don't know if they started the rumor or if they went to go find the natto. I think it was because they were going to go find the natto. I don't think they started the rumor. So, did somebody spread like a rumor about Suo and to like get under his skin? I don't know. I like they're all like trying to hold him down. He's like, please let go. I like that. They're like, come on, Suo. And they're trying to roughhouse him. And he's like, please stop. Stop, please. It's giving Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka, where he's like, please, someone, police, help. Like, it's giving those vibes. I'm watching Suo. Something's up with Suo. He's like, it's rude to leave during Sakura's party. And then Sakura just like giggles and smiles. And the heavens parted and angels sang, because we've seen Sakura smile. He smiled in the episode where they were like meeting up with Kiryu, but we've never heard him like laugh. It's like a whole different side of him. It's amazing. I'm so proud. And everybody immediately is like, holy shit. Sakura like laughed and smiled. Oh. And he's like, what? And everybody's just amazed. Of course, he gets immediately like, why are you guys like surprised that I can smile? Of course I can laugh. Like, I love it. Meanwhile, I love the idea that one of the Bofurin guys was like, you shouldn't sell your smile so cheap. Your smile is a treasured commodity. I agree. I want to see Sakura laugh and smile more, but it is a treasured commodity. And she's like, you were right in choosing Furin. Good for you, Sakura. And so now they're like, we're going to hold Suo down and wait for his natto. And he's like, look, this isn't about that, you know. So then Umemiya, of course, is like, hey, everybody's here. I want to go in. And Hiragi's like, no. I like that Umemiya cannot read the room. I think we should establish the fact that Umemiya, for all of his praiseworthy boons, Umemiya, one of his biggest faults is this boy does not know how to read the room. He's like, I'm going to go in there and help. We're like, okay, no. Hiragi's like, simmer down, main character. I like that Hiragi is socially aware, and he's like, hey, they're having a moment. Let Sakura celebrate. Let the first years have their moment. We're not welcome here. Let them have this. We're going to be out here the whole time. Don't butt in. And I love Umemiya. His response, he's like, well, everyone looks like they're having fun, and I want to join too. Like a freaking golden retriever. Like a damn golden retriever that's had his bone taken away. Like Umemiya's like, well, I want to go have fun with them. Sir. He's like a damn golden retriever. Tsubaki's red in their hair. I love that red. That pop of red is so like bright and fierce. I love it. Yeah, Hiragi's like, you need to learn how to take a hint. So then Sakura sees Hiragi and Umemiya like arguing outside the window as Hiragi drags him away. Love that. And behind him is Tsubaki, who looks in and is like, heyo. Love. So yeah, and Sakura's like, okay. So then we have this like social gathering on the roof. Everybody's gathering to just, those who don't have errands or patrols gather at the rooftops. Umemiya cannot be trusted with the loudspeaker, with the PA system. But yeah, everybody's hanging out. I want to see, I can't see, I see Inamoto, I think, but I can't see Kaji and the others. He's like, oh, this is just a social mixer. And so Bebop shows up with, or maybe it's Rocksteady, shows up with Hiragi to hold gatherings periodically so you guys can talk to a wide range of people. I'm not surprised about that. Umemiya is all about conversations. He's all about communication. Interpersonal communication is important. So I like that he's getting them all together so you can go make new friends, creating mixers. I like the yo. And so yeah, team Tamon, Koku, Zojo, and Komoku. Yep, it's based on how the classes are assigned. And wants you to talk to all sorts of guys. Meanwhile, I love that, like, I don't know. Basically, Umemiya is showing off his garden. Sugi is right there beside him, being like, I did all this work. Not really, but I like that Sugi is simultaneously getting praise for helping and also wants to be by Umemiya's side at any possible moment. Uemiya is just a social butterfly. He just likes people. And I like Naraya's taking notes again. He gives Suo his cup of tea so he can take the notes. He wants everybody to see how his veggies are growing. He's like, look at them, they're so cute. If Uemiya was not a counselor, he would be a great herbologist, somebody in the horticulture realm. I like that Suo says Sugi is like a tour guide now. He really is. And Hiragi's like, go tell him his plants are great. He'll cry. So then we have Tsubaki. I freaking love Tsubaki. I have loved them since the first time I saw their design. They are just amazing. I love it. And they are all about, yeah. The thing is, for all intents and purposes, Sakura looked at Tsubaki and said, okay, long hair, lipstick, nails, skirt, it is a girl. And assumed that, which, you know, the thing about Sakura's assumption is there's no malice behind it. They just assumed it was a woman and that they're there with Bofurin. All the other people at Bofurin are like, did you question why there's only one girl? And he's like, well, why not? You know, why not one girl? Why not a token girl in the club? What is this, a sausage fest? And so he just kind of is curious, but I love how tall Tsubaki is as they run over to Sakura and are immediately by him. They're like, damn, she's tall. And then Tsubaki, meanwhile, is like, well, hello, I finally got to meet you. And then what a deep voice, which look, we cannot judge people by their voices. We cannot. I have talked to many a assigned male at birth person who has a very high voice, let me tell you. And I've seen many women who have deep voices, right? I'm an alto, so I ain't got no room to talk. But, I mean, there are men that can sing higher than a soprano and can speak it just as well, and that doesn't change that. But yeah, you don't expect the voice. I don't know who voices. I guess we could look it up. Tsubaki, Windbreaker, Japanese VA. It won't hurt to ask that. Is voiced by Ryoto Osaka. Who is Ryoto Osaka voice? Who do they also voice? They've been. They're Azuma in Takapi's Original Sin. Okay. Also, what other series would I know them from? In Demon Slayer, they're a character that I don't know yet. What else have they been in? They've been in quite a lot, but I don't necessarily know who they be. Okay. Other than Takapi's Original Sin, my brother watches Food Wars, so he would know that. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, they've been Green, aka Gary, in Pokemon, so that's fun. What else have they been in? Oh my gosh, they've been in quite a lot. Anything that I would have known? Oh, they were Marco in Attack on Titan. Oh, okay, Marco's voice actor. Okay, they're a lot. Well, Marco's chipper, so no, that adds up. Okay, cool. All right, they were Marco. There we go. Nice. Anything else I would know from back 2016 on? They've been voice acting for quite a while. They've been in a lot of shows. Some of these I really want to see, so I'm excited to possibly get the chance to do that at some point. Other than Marco, I'm going back through this list and all the Attack on Titan seasons. The way that he looks changes so much with the animation. Oh, they're Akashi from Haikyuu. Okay, come on, Akashi. Come on, that's good. Okay, nice. There we go. There we go. And then I'm going to see if there's anything else. So Akashi from Haikyuu, Marco from Attack on Titan, Ozma from, and they're, Mayuzumi from Kuroko's Basketball. Okay. Which honestly, these characters are all similar but different. So, okay. All right. Tsubakino. I like that they said Tsubaki because Tsubakino does not roll off the tongue as well as it could. So, yeah. And then Sakura's like, oh, she's a dude. Which I'm glad Narai immediately was like, that's very rude. He's like, Sakura, that's rude to say to Tsubakino. And see, here's the thing. I feel like Tsubaki is used to people having that reaction of, oh, you're a man. Or they say, you're a man dressed as a woman. I'm sure that they're used to hearing those phrases being thrown out. So when Sakura says that, Narai's like, hey, you're being rude to Tsubakino-san. this is one of the four kings. And Tsubaki's like, no, 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 it's fine. It's okay. I may look like this, but I've got the same junk as all you guys. So they're not trans. So then I'm assuming they're just non-binary, maybe. I'm assuming they're non-binary because they are just, or they're a man that wants to dress like this, and that's perfectly fine. It's totally cool. I feel like there's always a kind of double standard, because if you look at women's fashion, women have wore dresses for eons, but then, finally industrialism and everything, we wear pants. And so now women can wear skirts and skirts and dresses and pants and shorts and leggings and whatever the hell they want. And it's socially acceptable. But a guy wears a skirt, and if it's not a kilt, it's deemed to be something that is not societally normalized. And I'm like, who cares? I was like, who even cares? So I could feel that. There was a student on the team that I coached that when we went to a banquet at the end of the year for their national tournament, they wanted to wear like dress and pearls and a boa. And they weren't trans, but they were just like, I want to wear this. It's glamorous and I want to be beautiful. And we were like, go for it. And they did, and it was amazing. Everybody loved his outfit and was like, this looks great. And so it's one of those things, like fashion and what you wear should be about what makes you comfortable and what you like about that helps your appearance. It shouldn't matter if it's a skirt or jeans or whatever. So I like that in my head, I have the prejudice of wanting to immediately assume that if they're dressing more feminine, then that means that they're trying to identify as female. Or I assume that it's non-binary because they're not trying to identify as anything. But that's a prejudice that I have. The reality may be that no, they identify as a man. They just like dressing and looking this way. And that should be fine. So when Tsubaki says, I may look like this, but I got the same junk as all you guys, is a rather crude way of saying it. But they're just like, no, I'd be happy if you referred to me as Tsubaki-chan. Like, I'm assuming they just identify as male, but they want to dress like this. Tsubakino Tasuku. So I'm going to write that down. I think Tsubaki is pretty easy to remember. It's the twins that are a little bit difficult. So Tsubaki, their first name is Tasuku. All these illiterate names, I swear. I do love the red. Love the red lipstick. Love the earrings. Love the nails. And they're like, do you know about Sakura? And then they're like, of course, if he takes flashy action like that. They're like, and the Chanson is amusing. I like this, like, but more than anything, they're like trying to like do this Vogue here. That look. And Sakura gets a little bit defensive. I like this play right here because Tsubaki, who does not want to be judged by their appearances, says, and that look. And Sakura is immediately like, are you referring to my black and white hair and my two colored eyes? I love it. Yeah. And Sakura's like, oh. Yeah, Tsubaki loves their look and thinks it's cool. Those eyes and hair are totally stunning. And your clothes are simple to make good use of what you've got. The link is perfect. And Sakura's like, I'm not used to hearing all these compliments and people praising my looks and not thinking they're weird. Which, again, Tsubaki's probably thinking the same thing. Like, oh, pot calling the kettle black, honey. Like, and the color is perfect. It goes with your skin. And he's like, what are you talking about? So more like Sakura-kun, Tsubaki-san was there during the first meetup. Remember? You didn't think anything of it back then. And this is what's important. This is what I think sells Tsubaki on Sakura 1000%, and everybody else too, is that Suo's like, Tsubaki was there from the beginning. You didn't think anything of them? They're like, I only thought there's one here because there's one here. I thought they were a girl because there's a girl. And they're like, what do you mean? And like, well, I'm sure you thought a guy shouldn't dress like that. That is what I want to get at, because Tsubaki is like, oh, well, you probably thought how I was dressing was weird and you thought it was off-putting. So you just imagined no guy would dress like that. So that's why you thought I was a girl. And then it's like, I'm sorry, love. I'd be delighted if you got used to it. Like, I hate that Tsubaki has to like apologize for themselves and just tell them they have to adjust. I hate that. That makes me so uncomfortable for them, because I'm like, you should not have to apologize for how you look. You shouldn't have to ask for someone to accept you in this space. That's crazy. And so whenever it like makes you want to cry, like whenever Tsubaki's like, oh, it's okay. I get this all the time, but you're just going to have to get used to it. And then Sakura's like, well, I was just surprised. That's all. It's not like the outfit is bad. There's no need to apologize for it. Uh-huh. And Tsubaki's like, oh. Like, Sakura wasn't even, like, it wasn't the outfit at all. Sakura's like, I don't care if you're a guy wearing those clothes. Don't matter to me. I just thought you were a girl. So now I feel bad that I thought you were a girl and I was wrong. And that's like, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, not only because Sakura is a good human being, as one should be, but Sakura, his entire life, has been criticized for how he looks. So, of course, he knows how that feels. Why would he do it to someone else? And Tsubaki's like, oh. And Hiragi's like, that's right. Taught you right. That's right. And Suo's like, that's right too. Like, everybody's like, this is why Sakura's great. Even Mirai. And Tsubaki's like, oh, we're going to be friends. We're going to be friends. He's so accepting. What a good boy. Yes. 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 I mean, I'm sure Umemiya is the same way. I feel like Tsubaki is drawn to Sakura because of their acceptance of them as a person. I'm sure they're drawn to Umemiya because Umemiya is hot, but also because he's accepting. I love Tsubaki's blue eyes. They're so vivid. So blue. Yep. Leave it at that. Oh no, he's like, I'm so sorry. I love it. Poor Sakura is dead. Sakura, the ghost, has left his body. Suo is still sitting there holding 2 cups. And then, what was that move? What did Tsubaki do just to, like, bring the ghost back in? Yeah, what did Tsubaki... Tsubaki grabbed the spirit leaving Sakura and thrust it back inside of him. That's amazing. I missed that in the reaction. That's amazing. See? Let me do the introductions. There's an episode of Parks and Recreation where April Ludgate, who's played by Aubrey Plaza, where she has 2 guys that are clearly dating that are her friends. And she goes, hi, this is my boyfriend, Tim, and this is his boyfriend, Drake. It's like, and they're just in this like polyamorous, it's meant to be a joke, but it's like, yeah. And she's like, let me do the introductions. These 2 twin brothers have the same face, just different hairs. What does the shirt say? One says like, we are... something, and something says waiting on a rock star. I don't know. Yeah, they look exactly the same. Well, no, they don't actually. Okay, I appreciate the show doing this because the one brother's hair is straightened and the other one is wavy. But if you look at them, even their eyes are a little bit different and their eyebrows are a little different. So okay, but yeah, these boys are my vice captains. See, this is the older brother. Okay, so we have Sakaki. I'm used to jerk Sakakis, so we'll see. So one is Sakaki Seiryu. Sakaki Seiryu, and he's the one with the straight hair, the older brother. And then the younger brother is Sakaki Uryu. Oh, Seiryu and Uryu. Okay, so Sakaki Uryu. I'm used to another... And he has the curly hair and is the younger of the 2. Okay. Got my notes. We're all good to go. I freaking love Tsubaki. I'm so glad we are probably going to see more of them this season. Yeah. And Sakura's like, I can't tell them apart. And he's like, I'm wondering what brand of contacts you were using, but those are your natural eyes. Is that your natural hair color? And I like that. Now, in that moment... the one brother is trying to say something nice, being like, well, you're a natural born fashionista with your natural hair color, your natural eye color. And Tsubaki's like, now leave him alone. Don't stare. You'll only trouble him. It's like, but I like being stared at. That's the thing. I love that Tsubaki takes the awkwardness and throws it on themselves and embraces it. I love it. Do we consider what Tsubaki is doing as a form of drag? Or is it, I mean, it's themselves all the time, so probably not. Drag is like a persona and a way of expression and artwork. But one thing about Tsubaki that kind of reads like a drag queen is the aspect of they like to draw the attention to themselves to normalize the difference in all of us. I love that because Tsubaki's like, it's okay if I look different. That's fine. That shouldn't be an issue. If you want to give me attention, give me attention. Nice. So then Umemiya is like, how's everybody with drinks? Umemiya's like, we have tanjiro, special tanjiro, eat up. I want to see what tanjiro is. Y'all are giving me like Japanese food things. Tanjiro soup. Okay. So tanjiro soup is, or often known as Budajiru is a Japanese soup made with pork and vegetables flavored with miso. It is a more substantial version of miso soup with a larger quantity and variety of ingredients. Well, that's cool. Nice. It's usually made with pork, with vegetables, dashi stock, and can have burdock root, spring onion, seaweed, radish, carrot, tofu, etc. Nice. It looked really good, honestly. It's still soup season because it's winter here. And yeah, so then I love that Tsubaki is like, okay, gotta make sure my hair looks great. Gotta make sure it's perfect. Okay, good. Look great. Awesome. Amazing. I love that Tsubaki has a crush on Umemiya. I mean, don't blame them. Don't blame them. Umemiya looks amazing, but I don't blame them for having the crush. And Sakura's like, what are we doing? Sakura, who is not used to public displays of affection, is like, I'm gonna have some too. Sakura's like, what is going on? Okay, so it looks like there's mushroom and carrots. And like, oh, also the fact that Tsubaki is taller than Umemiya is crazy. Maybe you should open a shop. He's like, ah, ha, ha, ha. He's like, well, my childhood friend has a shop, so maybe I should. We'll name the shop Bofurin. Anything you make is really delicious. Like, Tsubaki has the blushy cheeks. I don't think that's just blush. I think that they're just blushing because they have a crush on Umemiya. Honestly, I can fall back in love countless times. And Sakura is just like, what is this public display of affection? I love that it doesn't matter who it's with. Suo is like, anytime Sakura sees affection, his face is beet red. He's extra sensitive to people who are openly affectionate. I mean, the reason being because Sakura probably did not get any affection growing up, so seeing it is such a foreign sensation that he doesn't know what to do about it. He reacted to the feeling that Tsubaki harbors for Umemiya. They do look like such a good couple, though. They both have, like, the piercing blue eyes, although I do like the detail that Tsubaki's are, like, more like crystal blue, and Umemiya's are a little more gray blue. But, I mean, the black and white hair combo, I mean, a little bit of height difference. I mean, I kind of ship it. I could support it. I think Kotoa would be like, have at it. Yeah. Tsubaki's an easy read. Everybody's like, we could all see that you like him. And they're like, well, it's all true. More like, Sakura, you're so innocent. I do like that Umemiya takes it all. Is Umemiya kind of dense to the fact that they like him, or does he just not care? I don't know. Umemiya doesn't react to Tsubaki's advances, so maybe Umemiya is just like, whatever, okay. Or maybe Umemiya doesn't like them that way. I guess we'll see later on. I love that. May be the thumbnail. I love when they have their hair wrapped up, being like, thank you for appreciating me and accepting me, just like I'm accepting you. I love that thumbnail so much. That screenshot, it might have to be the thumbnail. I love it. And they're like, Tsubaki, we need to get going soon. Oh yeah, I forgot. Are we going to that place? Yes. And so, well, now Ume, I'm heading out. Now, first name basis, calling them Ume. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he does say, take care, please. So, and so then as they're walking away, they're like, hey, you should come with me. And he's like, what? Sakura, want to go on a date with me? And the idea, Sakura about spontaneously combusted when y'all said that you liked Umemiya's soup. Going on a date with him, he will literally burst into flames. There will just be his shoes left on the ground. This poor man. Now, do I think that Tsubaki is actually taking Sakura on a legit date? No. I don't think so. I think that wherever Tsubaki is going, they're like, hey, I need you to come with me, and you just like pose as my date so it'll look more, convincing, because these two are brothers. I mean, I could have one on either arm, but you should take me. So I don't know. I feel like maybe Tsubaki is going to try to like teach Sakura some life lessons. I'm all for that. I'm all excited by that, but curiouser and curiouser, and I've talked for almost an hour about this episode, but I freaking love Tsubaki so much already. I want to know their backstory. I want to know everything about them. I want to see them and Sakura on a date. I want Suo and Narai following behind, sneaking behind buildings. I need this, but I kind of want to ship Tsubaki with Sakura. We can't, Tsubaki's not an antagonist, so we can't have antagonists shipped to him, but I kind of want to ship Tsubaki with Sakura now too. He's gaining a harem. But Tsubaki, I support them with both boys. I support them with Umemiya. I support them with Sakura. Tsubaki's got their own harem going, and I live for that. So, But you know what? I'm also super hyped to hear what you all have to say about this episode down below. So I'm excited. I hope you all are as well. But I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'm excited, and I will be back very soon with more of Windbreaker. And I'll see you then. Bye.